listening to Kevin and the Spleen.
No one's gonna ever love me.
1098.5 Radio QWX for quick.
Bussin', no cap.
No cap.
Really smack you in the ass with flavor. There you go. This show is about depression, anxiety, PTSD, and chronic illness.
We going quick. We're trying to keep you on the path to the ride home on the evening time.
It's a fucking zoo.
Make it Quicks with the Quicks Radio.
White lives do not matter.
Hey, everybody, that's right. It's the coming at you live without any all stops. That's right, folks. We trying some new linguistics. What up, Kevin? Kevin, can you? No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just not expecting any of what just happened to happen. That's all.
Oh, yeah. Whoa, yeah. That's right. Wow. Oh, yeah. Anyway, Kevin, can you throw the splash page back up? You know, the podcast pic?
Yeah, I can do that.
Thank you. Oh, yeah. We got some technical difficulties. Kevin, put it back. Was that a good match? You think that's a good match? Put it back, Kevin.
All right. I think that was exactly what we needed to start the show with. Yes.
One more time, Kevin. Oh God. Oh man. Oh, I had to hold my breath. You know, I got this new camera. You hold your breath and it zooms in. It's. I don't know. It's a whole thing. So for the folks at home, there's a video shenanigans happening. This is very upsetting, I would say, to the audio only listeners. This is an experience unlike any other. That's right, folks, because you're entering my mind palace. That's right. Ooh, yeah, Kevin, tell them what they've won.
I think we've won that we've both discovered that we can zoom on our cameras like this.
Whoa, you got me
so fascinated by this since we got on the Zoom call together. That's all we've been doing.
That's all we've been doing. Oh yeah, Kevin, that's right. I can be in San Francisco. Remember, this is got to be like maybe the fourth time we've fooled around with various Zoom features on the podcast, but that's how you know we got a good show for you, Kevin. That's right. Oh yeah, Kevin. I got some news for you.
Oh, what's your news?
Have you ever heard of the Red Army?
Like China, or what are we talking about here?
Sure, yeah, whatever, yeah. I mean,
okay. I've heard of a Red Army.
That's what I was talking about. Do you want to enlighten the listeners on the Red Army, Kevin?
I mean, other than knowing that is what China's army has been called, that's about the extent of my knowledge in that subject. Can you fill me in a little bit on what aspect of it you would like me to doodle for you?
No. That's what you just said, Kevin. That's what an AI would say. You just uttered some AI shit just then. But I can't even focus anymore. Guess who joined the Red Army? Guess who got recruited?
Who?
Guess. You fucking
guess.
Guess.
I'm gonna say Tom Selleck.
Yes. And he joined them, and now he's the commander. Yeah.
Okay. I'm surprised that I got.
You're surprised,
that right.
But that was your guess. What should have you guessed to not be surprised?
I don't know. I mean, I kind of feel like I've been unintentionally predicting the future lately on this show.
Oh, so no.
I would not be surprised. Well, okay. 2 weeks ago, we were I kind of went off on a little bit of a rant. And I had said that the U.S. had left the World Health Organization, which at the time was not actually true. I thought it was, but it wasn't. But then a few days ago, we actually did leave the World Health Organization. So yeah. I think I maybe manifested that into existence, and so I'm very sorry to everybody because I didn't mean for that to happen.
Manifest destiny. Oh yeah, Kevin, you see the movie Tenet? Tenet.
Yes, yes, I have. That is a confusing
Kevin's
movie.
Kevin's entropy's reversed, and he's forced to live in excruciating pain just to speak backwards. You know, in his timeline at least. For us, it's forwards. And I thank him for his service. Think about the brain power you must manifest. I'm starting to understand what people mean when everybody for years has been telling me that doing this for an extended period of time would ruin my voice. I'm starting to kind of get what they were talking about. Anyway, folks, welcome to That Happens, a comedy podcast primarily hosted by Spencer Crittenden and Kevin Day, often featuring Jeff Brian Davis. Originally born from the Harmontown community, the show has evolved into a mix of comedy, social commentary, and occasionally Dungeons and Dragons, baby. Oh, yeah. What do you think about that?
I feel like that's become increasingly inaccurate over time, but I still think that's a great summary of the show.
Exactly a bit more. Oh, sorry. Let me take that again without glottal stops. That's not even what a glottal stop is, Kevin. I figured that out. Sorry, I was joking on a football for a second. Let me say that again. The AI doesn't know the spleen is on the show, and that is a huge blow to my ego, Kevin.
I mean, we should probably make the spleen a little bit more credited. Like maybe I
Yeah,
could add that to IMDb or something.
maybe he can maybe me can be an executive producer.
I think that should happen for sure.
Yeah, I've been forced to go AI mode at my work, Kevin. My boss demands it.
What does AI mode mean for your line of work?
Basically, anytime he talks to you, you have to type what he says into AI and just read it off to him like that's your response. Like you came up with that.
Okay.
You're basically, he wants everyone to be AI mode all the time.
Okay. I mean I could see how that would be useful, but it feels like it'd be easier for him just to do that himself.
Yeah. Did you know in the Epstein files, there's a Windows key? You can activate your Windows using Jeffrey Epstein's Windows key, Kevin. Did you know that?
I did see that. Yes. I'm kind of surprised Microsoft hasn't killed that key by now, but yes, I did see that. There's a picture of the bottom of his laptop with his Windows license key on it.
Yeah. I mean, this goes all the way to the top, I think.
To the top of what? The top of Windows?
You know what doesn't go to the top, Kevin, is the hairs on my head. That's right, folks. I got male pattern baldness. Ooh, baby. Ha ha ha. Yeah, that's right. I'm a old fashioned chrome dome. I got upper recession to my temples, baby. Oh yeah.
Okay, okay. Uh,
Okay.
you
Well,
look
okay then.
you look fantastic though.
Wow.
You are a handsome man.
Someone sounds like they've gone AI mode. Oh, baby. Okay. It's okay. I don't fucking know, Kevin. I don't know. I don't know. I got this new camera. It's crazy. It's like bigger than a Coke can, um, in diameter. And who knows what's going on, you know, in there. Um, but it's a camera. Everything's I don't know. Okay, so I logged into the Zoom and was surprised to discover that I had no idea. I just haven't thought about the show like at all, you know?
Okay. So you're just winging it tonight.
Yeah, this time I'm just winging it.
Okay.
Usually, we have like about three different rehearsals. We do dress rehearsal in front of a practice audience, and then we'll get rid of any skits that we find don't work. You know, but today, obviously, I mean, I wasn't at the dress rehearsal, but we're winging it. Um, but
It's hard to do the dress rehearsal without you, I gotta say. I gotta do all the voices. I
mhm.
gotta,
it
as finely scripted as this show is, it's just not the same without you.
it's a lot of work for you. And I would argue that it's not very useful when I'm not there because generally speaking,
I go off book all the time. So if you're like, okay, we have this all timed out, we got our ad breaks, and then I bust in, and that's assuming I have, I have practiced. But if I haven't done any rehearsing, like it's all just a waste of effort. Like the lighting guys don't know what to do. Like it's just a complete mess.
It is. I mean, the tech crew does get a little frustrated with us sometimes, like especially like if you're not standing right on your mark and the focus isn't right, or just little things like that make everyone's job harder, but we pull it off, it's a live show. Everyone knows what live television is like. We somehow make this work every week regardless.
Yeah, that's true. The show must go on. Um, I I've been going to some comedy shows lately. I went to a comedy show and someone did 10 minutes. They just did 10 minutes on dating a black guy. And I was agog. I don't know that I was aghast, but I was dumbfounded. I like I mean, it is dating it is dating them, which I guess makes it a little better or whatever. But I was just like, while I was at about like 4 minutes in, I was like, oh wow. And then I started like I was like, imagining like what circumstances would it be appropriate to do 10 minutes on any given race in almost any context, you know, as a white person. Um, and I was like, I don't, I don't know. I can't think of any. I was like, the closest I could get was like, I could imagine non-white people talking about like dating Asian guys or something. That feels like it might be okay. And not great, but like, I feel like I wouldn't be questioning it, but I think I would. I don't know. I feel like it was just like, I was like, damn, this is just 10 minutes about black people on some level. And like black people, and it wasn't like jokes at their expense, but it was like black people jokes or whatever. Like jokes where the subject was black people. So it's like wordplay involving black people. Like AAVE as pieces of punchlines, and it's just like I I don't know. I don't know. It was nuts. And basically, Kevin, what I'm trying to say is that I'm going to start going to open mics. um, but no,
I mean, this might be dating me a little bit, but when I still lived in Nebraska in the late '90s, or probably this is probably mid '90s.
Oh, Kevin, you
actually.
froze. Did I freeze or did you freeze? Shit,
I
Kevin,
don't,
did I freeze or did you freeze?
I don't know. I'm not frozen. I can still hear you.
Okay. Then start over for me,
Okay.
the real audience of the show.
Okay, that's
I'm the primary audience. I'm definitely the target audience for this show.
I think you are too. If I'm not impressing you, there's no point. But like in the mid '90s, when I still lived in a small town in Nebraska, like I was really into comedy, and there was not a comedy club for a 2 hour drive. Like once we had Drew Carey come perform in town, and that was such a big deal. Like it was on the front page of the newspaper for like not only the day that he was there, but like several days leading up to it of, oh my God, Drew Carey's coming to town, like that level of excitement. So there was one day where there was like, hey, there's this comedian that I'd never heard of before is going to be performing. And I was like, oh my God, I have to go. Like, even if this isn't my thing, like I have to support the comedy scene here so we get more comics coming.
Yeah.
And so I get there, and then he's got all these posters up saying that he is a Christian comic, which was not part of the advertising in any way whatsoever. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know what that means exactly. Like, is he just trying to like identify with like the kind of like Midwestern Bible Beltish kind of thing? I don't know. Let's give this a try. And he launched into 20 minutes of jokes about why race mixing is bad.
Drew Carey.
No, this wasn't Drew.
Oh,
No, this
okay.
this was another comic.
Okay. Did I hear that, stupid audience? Is that what you interpreted, or
Yeah,
did I
no,
miss
no.
something?
Okay, what I was saying was like we had so little comedy in town that we were so excited that Drew Carey came once, and then later another comic came, and I was trying to support the
Okay,
comedy
got
scene
it,
by
got it.
going to see this
Yes,
other
sorry.
comic.
Yes, okay.
And his entire act, based well, as much as of it as I sat through, was about why race mixing was bad. And he was
Mhm.
telling jokes that I don't think there's a single one that I could even summarize here without feeling
Yeah.
bad.
Did he use the word miscagination? Is that what it is?
Yeah, he used a lot of words, and then he had a Bible in his hand the entire
Miscagination.
time, and was basically quoting verses of the Bible to back up his points.
He had in his pocket?
He had holding in his hand a Bible.
Oh,
Then he had like post-its marking pages in it
I thought he had it in
to
his
like
pocket.
to like back up his points. If his jokes didn't land, he'd be like, "Well, this is what the Bible says," So
Then
really,
everyone's laughing. They're like,
you're
"Oh,
like,
okay, ha ha ha, yes."
yeah, it was almost just like, "Listen, I'm not wrong here. Look, if you don't think I'm funny, you're disagreeing with the Bible, okay?"
Wow, basically, you're going to hell. Yeah,
Yes. Um,
that's awesome.
and the audience was pretty evenly divided. Just again, this is sort of like there's no nice way to say, but kind of a redneck part of Nebraska, which is a kind of a redneck part of the country. I would say probably a good third of the audience was on their knees laughing at every single thing he said.
Sure, yeah.
And the other two-thirds of us were just horrified. Like there was some
Mhm.
polite laughing a little bit. There was some just, oh my God, what are we doing right now? I left after 20 minutes because I felt so uncomfortable. And what made it worse was, again, because this was a big deal, a comic came to town. There was a photographer from the newspaper there, and I was so afraid I was going to end up in the newspaper in the audience, them half catching me smiling or awkwardly at something he said. So I left just because I was afraid I was going to show up in the newspaper. Like
Yeah,
that's how bad it was. That
your
is,
photograph of running out of the theater with your like coat over your head.
yes. And I mean, I was not the only person to dip and leave during the show. I was hoping he was going to pivot to something else, and I don't know that he ever did because I figured after 20 minutes, that's a good solid 20 minutes of racism was more than enough.
Yeah, I can imagine. Um, yeah, I thought the story was that you thought you were going to see Drew Carey, and then it said that he was a Christian comic, and then you show up and there's just some other guy named Drew Carey, or he's like,
No,
actually, my name's Care Drewy or something. I'm a Christian clean comic, and that's where I thought the story was going. But that's because I'm
yeah,
not paying any attention. But I like
no,
the
that
story.
I probably told that wrong.
I no
No,
no no. I was just thinking, Kevin, and I'm listening to you, Kevin, listening to you talk, and I'm like, man, Kevin's getting really good at podcasting. If we had a live audience, I could be like, isn't he, folks? Isn't he? And get like a big cheap pop. We got to do this live on a stage.
we
We
do. We,
gotta
we
we
got to
gotta do a
find
touring show.
we do. We got to go tour just like the back rooms of like Olive Gardens or something,
Oh
and
yeah, that's
and
smart.
just very very intimate venues
Mhm.
where if 10 people show up, it might feel a little bit crowded.
Yeah, I mean, I like that idea. I was going in a completely different direction. I was thinking maybe we can link up with the Who's Live guys and just be on the same bill. Like we could
We
we
could
could just
open
do
for them
shows.
and just
Yeah.
kill the mood completely. Yes.
Yeah. We could open and close so they don't have to go on also
Right.
unintentionally. I think.
And I'll tell my story about Drew Carey being racist, and they'll love
Yeah,
it.
exactly. I think it could work. There's this fucking fly. I gotta get it. It's not a real fly. It's one of these other bugs, these fly-like bugs. Flies are really hard to swat, but there's a lot of bugs that are kind of fly-like, and they're not anywhere near as hard to swat. They don't fly as well. They don't react as well. I got one of those. But yeah, I don't know. I was going to I went to there's a comedy show. My friend Ruben is doing a stand-up show at Geeky Teas on Mondays. Like I think the first Monday or it's like the some Monday of every month. God damn it, this fly. This is like that episode of Breaking Bad. Um, except we're making something even more valuable than meth, Kevin.
We're making people
Comedy.
laugh.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. But But yeah, so I don't know. I feel like my brain's scattered. I don't know. I'm a mess. I I read Inherent Vice and then I watched the movie. I think I talked about that, but there's this sandwich in the book that it was probably the thing I focused on the most out of the whole book. It was like the thing that stuck with me most was just a simple one line description of a sandwich. It was called the Shoot the Pier. It's like a toasted baguette, garlic butter, jack cheese, avocado, sprouts, pickled artichoke hearts, and jalapenos with green goddess dressing. And I kind of thought I got it mixed up in my head because I thought it was pickled red onions, and there's no red onions on the sandwich. And I don't know. I don't know what I don't know that I've seen pickled artichoke hearts. Like you get the marinated ones, and I guess you could call those pickled. And then back when that was written, maybe it was more normal to call that pickled artichoke hearts. So I don't know if I was supposed to use pickled artichoke hearts or just marinated ones. But I used marinated ones, and then I used pickled jalapenos instead of fresh jalapenos, and I used pickled red onions. But I made the sandwich today actually, and I made two of them, and boy howdy, it was so fucking good. It was like easily one of the best sandwiches I've like ever had in my life. The second one wasn't as good. I don't know. I must have like assembled it poorly or something. It didn't have quite the ratios somehow. I don't know, but man, it was so fucking good. But like all the ingredients cost so much fucking money. Now I have like a bunch left. So I probably got to make like 10 more sandwiches to like use the ingredients. And I'll have to buy like a few more loaves of bread and avocados to actually get through everything. But so fucking good. I've been getting, I couldn't tell you why, completely unrelated, but I've been getting a lot of acid reflux lately. Since I lost weight, I haven't been getting acid reflux as much, but I think I've been eating a lot more acid and like hot sauce and tomatoes and I made chili and that really kicked it up. But yeah, I don't know. You eating good
I
in the
find
neighborhood?
a lot that
Go
like
ahead.
the first time I make a new recipe myself, like something that's just way outside my wheelhouse, there's a really good chance the first time I make it, it's going to be amazing. And then I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to recreate that one perfect accidental dish I made. I don't know if that's ever like it kind of sounds like what you're talking about here a little bit, but like that happens to me enough that it almost like puts me off trying to make new recipes because I'm like, okay, if I love it, I don't know enough about what I'm doing to ever recreate this.
Yeah. I agree with that. And I also find that when I go to restaurants, the first time I have something that's good, I'm like, holy shit, this is the fucking best. And then I have it a second time and I'm like, it doesn't taste anything like that. And I do think a lot of it is just psychological. Like the novelty of it, like makes it hit so strongly. But I also do think there just are a lot of coincidences that happen. Not everything's going to uh, be made as well. The ingredients are not going to always be the same and stuff. But man, the sandwich, it's good. We had Eli Uden on last week, and we didn't get to talk about Pluribus, a show I now barely remember.
I, I feel the same way. I almost wanted to watch it again so that we could talk about it in more detail.
Yeah, is there anything you want to say about it? I I think to me it's getting I the first season, well, I don't know. The first season of what is that other show? Severance, I think was like so good. And then the second one's like, I don't know. The first one was like this show is going to end, and then it didn't end. I think the first season like was like it's just a big cliffhanger, but I was like that should just be the ending. That's like a great ending. But that's the thing is you can't just make a one season of television show and go, we did it. If it's a good show, then they're like, how can we make this go forever? And second season of Severance, they're like, okay, let's try and stretch this out into like at least 5 seasons. And it's like, I don't know, man, maybe 3, maybe, but even season 2, it felt like it was really stretching. And as the first season of Pluribus went on, I was like, oh, they're doing the same thing. Like Pluribus felt like they could have gotten pretty far in the first season. And I don't know, maybe after the first few episodes, it really started slowing down in terms of the world building pace. Obviously, the emotional story, I think, is really well done. It does feel kind of X-Files-y just with the pacing of everything. But yeah, when it's like, oh, At some point I was like, okay, this is mostly just going to be a show about like character feelings and stuff, and that just is really slow, and that really bummed me out because it's like if it's that's just like, oh, what if society was kind of like this, and it's using the pluribus as a way to like explore that, and it's like, I guess that's interesting, but really I want to see like what actually caused this, and like what the plan is and what happens next. I don't know. And just like that was what was interesting to me. But I was also like, I guess it's not, either they are aliens and it's like, oh wow, Carol's versing the aliens. What a dramatic idea. Who has ever imagined fighting an alien menace? Or it's like they're kind of normal and isn't that crazy? It's like none of those are going to be compelling. It's like it only kind of works if we never really see what actually happens next. It's just like trying to survive on this pluribus world, versus the hive mind or whatever, or along with the hive mind, etc. And once that kind of set in, I was like, I don't know. Although that's not to say my ideas would have been satisfying to me. It was just like what I was excited about watching it. Does that make sense? But still really good. I don't know. Visually really cool. I think I mentioned before, but he's just really good at depicting like visual logic. You see Carol like look at like a brick, and you can imagine like what her inner monologue is without actually hearing it. And I just think that's really good directing to be able to make that possible. That's really cool. It was really cool throughout the whole show. Those are kind of my broad thoughts about it. What about you?
I mean, I feel like it was almost two shows. I mean, I really liked it, but what I loved about the first episode was they gave you just enough hints so that if you were really paying attention, you could figure things out and it would make you feel smart. Like
Mhm.
I remember during the intro thing when they were receiving the message from the space telescope thing, and they were like, "Well, it's not binary; it's four different numbers going back and forth." And I was like, "Oh, that's DNA." And then later, when it turns out to be DNA, you're like, "Hey, I'm smart." But like, if you kind of think about it, that makes sense. And then like when the guard has the donuts on his desk, I'm like, okay, so that's how they're going to spread it. And that was exactly how they spread it. They were all licking the donuts and stuff later.
Yeah.
And like it wasn't it's not like how a lot of TV shows do things lazily where everything is so obvious and spelled out to you like so many Netflix shows are now, where it's like the kind of the meme of like, they want you to be able to understand the show even if you're not watching it, like you're just playing on your phone, it still has to make sense. This show is not
Yeah.
like that. But I feel like they took that premise so well in episode 1 and then just dropped it for the rest of the episodes. There it wasn't leading you to conclusions. It became a lot more just storytelling at that point.
Yeah.
Um, I loved the fact that there was almost this just like scarcity of words. There were entire episodes where
Yeah.
hardly anybody talked.
Hmm.
And that takes some serious courage, not only for the director, but the writer and the companies paying for it and all this to be like, hey, we're gonna have an episode where there's almost no talking.
Yeah.
And it
That's what's
still
great about
tells,
Apple.
yeah. I love the fact that they took those risks. But I also agree that like it shouldn't have ended where it ended because it felt like a whole lot of buildup for no payoff. Like it
Yeah.
that should have been like a mid-season cliffhanger, not an end of the season. We're gonna have to wait a year to find out what happens now, if that even.
Yeah. It's like, I think that kind of is also because they're kind of leading you and foreshadowing it a little bit, because you're like, okay, Carol is against this, and she's like kind of dealing with it and kind of getting over, like the first season is really Carol's emotional journey of grief over her wife. um like that's the real plot, because if that wasn't the plot, then like you don't have most of the moves that actually happen. um because like she starts against the pluribus and she ends against the pluribus, and realistically there's never any doubt that she was going to be against the pluribus because she started against it, and that's why we're rooting for her. So her kind of flirting with it you're always like, okay, when's the other shoe going to drop? Because I know it is, because this is a show about her being against it. And so every time she doesn't make that choice, you feel like it's just being delayed and slow rolled, which it kind of is. But again, I think if you're like, well, it's really about her emotional journey, I do think that's done in a really realistic, understandable, sympathetic way. And just kind of like, but it's like, again, it's like the foreshadowing kind of sets up a lot of stuff that happens. It's like, okay, no one's going to believe her. And so then we see no one believe her in multiple different ways. And she sends videos and no one believes them. You know, she does her like YouTube dispatches, you know, and no one believes that, you know, and it's just like, well, yeah, we know they don't believe her. So they're not going to believe her, you know? And so like, there's some of that where it's like, I get that you do need to show that, but because it's so clear that that was the case when things were getting established, it doesn't feel super satisfying to watch the dominoes fall. Because if you see a long line of dominoes, you'd be all like, I bet that last one's eventually gonna fall. You know, what's fun about dominoes is when they're doing crazy shit, not when they're going in a line, you know. So I thought that was you know, a bit of a problem. I guess I can get into spoiler country now, where these are like my spoilery predictions. But she like at the end, there's like, she gets like an atomic bomb, and you know, the guy she teamed up with, who's like a harder line alien guy, he has to get medical help. So it's like, clearly the next season is going to be, they finally figure out how to turn Carol. She's like, no, you're not. I am going to detonate this atomic bomb if you try to do it. And I have a dead man switch. Me and the Latin guy both have triggers. And if one of us falls, the other will pull the trigger. So you cannot infect us. Otherwise, everyone will die. And then they will somehow turn the Latin guy. And then that will put her in a position where she either has to go, shit, man, I really have to, like, I really should pull this trigger now. Like, that was my threat. And now that I'm in this position, I don't know that I want to blow myself up, right? And she might make the choice, she might not make the choice. They might somehow stop her, you know, or whatever. But I think that's where season two, I think like that will be the season finale of season 2, is like, oh shit, that guy turned. Now what do I do? Or something. Or like that's the second to last episode, and the last episode is her really agonizing. And then we land on like, maybe she's making a choice, or maybe she's about to make a choice, you know. And imagine watching like 8 episodes or whatever just to get there. It's like, fucking, I already know that's going to happen, you know? And if it doesn't happen, something pretty close is going to happen, you know? And so it's like, now what am I watching for? You know, season 3, like I have to watch a whole season 2, you know? And so that I think, is, I don't like that. I do think it would be cool if they just did kind of more episodic episodes, which are just like, you know, fundamentally exploring human issues, creative issues, you know, like societal questions, kind of like the philosophical questions that sci-fi often asks of us. I think it could be cool if it just does that, as opposed to like really pushing the plot forward. Oh, the other thing I was going to say is, I think, you know, towards the end, they turn that, like, I don't know, she's like maybe like an indigenous person. And so they have all these like indigenous people singing songs and doing, you know, ceremonies and stuff right before they turn her. And everybody online was like, oh, this is so crazy. They're similar. It's like, yeah. Why is that a surprise to you? This is like their whole thing. It always has been. It was set up from the beginning. They only want to spread. They only want to make you happy. They're making her happy, and then they spread, and then they stop. Why would you ever believe that wouldn't be what was happening? Like, how is that so offensive? Oh, they're donning the mask of humanity. It's like, yeah, that's the fucking premise, you know? And so it's like, that's another thing where it's like, they're showing this thing to really illustrate how it operates. And it's like, Yeah, I fucking know. That's the premise. Of course, that's what they do, you know? And so I don't know. I think that's my big complaint is that like a lot of what you see is being like, and this is like a hive mind thing. And it's like, yeah, I know it's a hive mind thing. That's the show. That's the whole show. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, I want to be pleasantly surprised that they're going to do something the next season that neither of us are going to predict. But I feel like
And
they've
I'm
written
sure they will.
themselves into a corner a little bit, though, because there's only so many places you can take this that aren't going to seem unbelievable, you know? Like, unless they start rewriting the rules of how this world works, there's really only so many places this can happen. So either it's going to be another cliffhanger where nothing really happened, or the obvious is going to happen. And I don't know that we're going to be satisfied with that. Um, and I also kind of feel like too, like again, I really enjoyed watching this show. I don't want to sound like I didn't like the show. Everybody should watch this if you have a chance to. But
Yeah, it's
like
good. These are just nitpicks.
the two nitpicks I have really are that for one, there really wasn't a story arc in the first season. I mean, the closest thing there was to an arc was they all left and then they came back. Like it was just a return to where we were a few episodes before. Not
Well,
much changed, you know. Like I understand that she's maybe more accepting of it
well,
and
yeah, that is her arc. Like, that's the thing. Like, first she was against them because of pain and grief, and then she like goes on this journey to try and get over it. And she kind of does and gets this kind of uneasy partial acceptance of the hive mind. And then that's revealed to be flawed. And she's like, no. And so now she's like returned master of both worlds, having changed. Now I'm not acting out of pain. This is actually fundamentally the right thing to do. And it's through this cycle of her grief. But again, like that is kind of slim in terms of like a whole, like that's one character arc in a kind of television series where a lot of times you have 5 to 7 characters who all have similar arcs with similar depth.
yes. Yeah. And the other complaint that I kind of have, and I know this is being super nitpicky, but quite often there were visual things that if you were sat on a couch and the TV is not close to you, you missed.
Mm-hmm.
One really big example of that was if you remember when she was in the hotel just after the video of John Cena playing, explaining how they get their food from.
Yeah.
She looks out the window and like across the street down, like a block away, there's this video billboard and they're talking to her on this video billboard. The problem is if you're watching that on your laptop and you're right up close to it, you can read it just fine. But if you're sat back on a sofa and the TV is 20 feet away from you, you can't read any of that. And like an entire conversation happened that took up what, probably 2 minutes of her talking and they're replying by writing on this video billboard their replies to her.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we both were sitting there going, are we supposed to be able to read that? Because that's way too small. That's completely unreadable. That felt like a really stupid thing to screw up. Like all they had to do was zoom in tighter on that and it would have been fine. But like literally it was like from her perspective, as though she was like holding up a camera to the window, shooting a building a block away, and there's a billboard on the side of it. The words were like this big. I'm sorry, I'm holding up my fingers for you. For you guys listening, the words were maybe 20% of the size of the screen and
Kevin
completely
doesn't know
unreadable.
fractions.
Yes.
If you're watching the show, you know Kevin doesn't understand fractions. But yeah, no, I think that's a fair critique. I do think it's a strong choice. I like strong choices. I think I like that as a strong choice. I think a lot of times in the show there's stuff that you could miss, and I don't think it kills you to miss the stuff. And a
Yes.
lot of times there's stuff in the show where there's context clues to fill you in, and then there's stuff like that. And I think if it's like you're like, am I supposed to read this? And that's where your mind is at, you kind of get befuddled. But if you're like, let me use the context clues and put it together, I think it kind of makes more sense than it might appear. But yeah, I get what you mean. But it is also like in a world where Netflix is telling everybody to recap everything they're doing every 5 minutes. Like I do prefer this. I would rather
Yes.
I would rather be lost than
Yeah, no, I
yeah.
would much rather have to like rewind it and then go stand in front of the TV to figure out what's going on. I
Now
just
that you
wish they
mentioned,
had
I
zoomed
did
in a
that. I
little
had to
bit
rewind a
tighter.
lot. Yeah,
You
no, I
know,
agree. They easily could have put
it
it entire.
they could have made that a lot easier on their audience, and it felt like a silly thing to have like no one has caught before it aired, because I can't be the only person who had that problem with it. It's
Yeah.
like it's the same thing with like you brought up Tenet, the fact that through probably a good third of the movie you can't understand what anyone's saying because the music is so loud. Stuff like
Yeah.
that made it out the door should not have happened.
Yeah, stuff like that is interesting. Like I've had a little bit of production experience from Harmon Quest and stuff, and it makes me feel like I'm the genius who understands everything. Um, but like you just wonder, speaking of which, it's not lost on me, Kevin. Kevin's like, if you're sitting 20 feet away from the television, la di da, Kevin. I don't have 20 feet in my whole fucking apartment. But anyway, but no, I was thinking like, oh, I wonder if when they were shooting or when they were doing the editing, like imagine they were in like a theater, like, a mini theater with like full, and it's like, yeah, in a movie theater, I mean, even like a mini movie theater, it's like, yeah, it'd be very easy to read. But then when you put it on a TV or a phone screen or whatever, it's like, yeah, you can't read shit. And it reminds me of, like for Harmon Quest, we fucking mixed Harmon Quest in Adobe Atmos. Which is, I think there's like 27 speakers precisely. It's 4 movie theaters. And then we would do it, and then I'd be like, okay, let's do another listen through on the little speakers. And they would like kind of protest and be like, oh, come on, it sounds so much better in Atmos. And I'm like, that's the problem. No one's gonna be fucking watching this in Atmos. They're gonna be watching it through their left speaker coming out of their iPhone. If we are mixing in Atmos, that's not going to matter for 99% of the audience. And I had to say that a bunch of times. And like they would try not to mix it, and there would be so many things that had to be completely altered when you're listening in on just normal stereo audio. And I wonder if it's something like that. Anytime I see movies, I'm wondering if it's stuff like that. And I don't know. We also, in Harmon Quest, I've probably talked about this a million times. In Harmon Quest, we also had this problem where there's different output codecs that we can output it in, and they have different kind of color treatments, basically. They do different stuff with the color information. And some of them, it would just crush a lot of detail out of dark colored stuff. So we'd have like, say, these dark colored castle walls or something, and there'd be a lot of detail, and it would just look completely black in certain codecs. And I am fucking certain, and it also depended on what TV we put it on. If we had it on like the color correction monitors, it looked fucking amazing. But if we put it on just the iMac screen, it looked terrible. And so like it was a big decision point which codec we wanted to use and how that would affect stuff. Or we delivered this in this codec, and now we're like, should we deliver it in this codec? Should we go back and switch it, redeliver? There's all these kind of considerations to make. And like then there was that dark episode in Game of Thrones. And I am certain that it's just like an issue like that. They did it on a good color correction screen. They didn't think about it. Whatever person, they uploaded in their normal codec that they normally use, and it just crushed everything to black. And that Dark Knight episode where everyone complained about not being able to see shit. I'm certain it was just that, and it's just, but who knows? But, it's interesting to extrapolate way too much about your tiny slice of personal experience, isn't it?
No, you're absolutely right. And I honestly like not to like pick on a company, but Dolby is the problem there. They invented this technology called Dolby Vision, that if your TV supports Dolby Vision and the movie you're watching was encoded in Dolby Vision, it does look like you're in a movie theater. It looks amazing. The problem is when your TV does not support Dolby Vision, but it's encoded in Dolby Vision, it has to fall back to this backup, like they call it tone mapping. And it's up to not only the people creating the video to explain to your TV how to convert this thing it doesn't understand into something that it does, which is up to not only the creator to get right, but the manufacturer of the TV to get right. And then if your TV doesn't support high definition or HDR at all, it has to fall back a second time into standard color. And that's 2 conversions that have to happen. Jeez. That will almost definitely get it wrong. And I think that's the problem is that Dolby wanted to make it so that if you as a TV manufacturer spent the money on the Dolby Vision license, it was fantastic. And if you didn't give them money, your colors were awful. And it's the most messed up system of how, like, I know this is getting way more technical than I think most people care, but that's why stuff like the Game of Thrones looks like that and things like that too, is that it's almost always a case of they encoded for Dolby Vision and you're watching on something that doesn't support Dolby Vision.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous. I hate it. I wish that never happened.
Yeah, that's what happens when the world isn't run by nerds.
Yes.
It's because like the people who are doing stuff like that should be able to think and talk like you do. It's kind of crazy that you know this stuff, but it's like like so, and even if you could talk about this stuff, then you have to explain it to some fucking dipshit asshole. And they're like, go fuck yourself. I make $1 million or whatever, like, and it's like, okay, okay. But yeah, I don't know.
I will admit I was at a convention and there were some people in a booth at a Dolby booth that I vented a little bit at about this because of how difficult they make my life.
Yeah.
Because like if I do a lot of things where people are sending in professionally produced videos. And if one of them checks the box because they have software that supports Dolby Vision and sends it to me and I haven't paid Dolby money, I can't even open the file.
Mm-hmm.
And that just makes everyone's life worse for no reason, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a total case of like one company going, hey, we're going to corner the market to make it so that if you don't pay us, your life is miserable.
The Adobe effect.
Yes, exactly.
Speaking of the world ending and being garbage now, what a week? I don't even know. I mean, I feel like stuff happened the week that Eli came on, and since we were talking to him, we didn't really talk about it, so I can't even like think of everything that's happened. I mean, the big thing obviously is Alex Preddy got murdered or executed by the state, um, and that I don't know. That one really hit me really hard. I don't know why. Maybe it's just I don't know. I gotta like start taking detailed notes about my life in a way that like what is it? What's that guy's name? The guy that collects his jars and piss? Rod Serling? Yeah. Rod Serling? Like I gotta
Sure.
get on some Rod Serling shit because sometimes I feel like when I'm like really mentally unstable, it like truly is like if you look at my calories eaten the past 3 days, it's like there's some disruption there or something. But man, yeah, I feel like it happened. What, Friday morning was it? I think. I don't know. And I was hiking when I like read about it, and I don't know. I got back to my car and I was just like I was crying and I was just really shaken up. And yeah, I called Adam Schiff before the voicemails filled up and stuff. And yeah, it was like my voice was shaking when I was trying to like explain or like give my zip code and stuff. There's all this information they want you to give before you leave the message. And the reason they ask is because if you answer the wrong things, then they could throw it away without having to listen to it. But yeah, I was just like, I started talking and I just broke down crying and just sobbing and basically screaming into the phone. Just saying like, I can't imagine being in your position and being capable of sleeping at night. I can't imagine how you're just leaving people to die like this, just all this stuff. And yeah, it was good. But I don't know. I went to a protest. I went to another protest. Um, it's weird. It's awkward. It's strange. But it's good to be involved in something. It's good to connect to things. Um, I think society, I mean, especially American society, but society it used to just be a lot more collectivist in nature. And I think part of that was necessity and part of that was culture. Obviously, a lot of it is religion. Also, just the lack of like personalized media force gathering in ways that gathering doesn't need to happen the same way. But concerts, theater, church, all of these things allow you to be part of a group and a concept and ideals and activities that are just larger than one person can be. Like people always talk about how like music in a group setting is this kind of like group hypnosis that kind of synchronizes the vibes of all the people there. It's this kind of like, I don't know, something about humans and mammals is they have like a way of clearing stress by through contact with other mammals that, like, for instance, lizards don't have. Like, it's not like lizards don't want to be near each other, but it just like doesn't clear stress from their bodies. It's fight, flight, fawn, or freeze are the four stress responses. Flight is, I think flight and fight both often like kind of drum up your adrenaline system. Freeze is kind of like what fainting goats do. The freeze response is also when you're dissociating or over intellectualizing. That's like a human freeze response. And then a fawn response is kind of like it's when a dog presents its belly, kind of. Or it's like a weird. I don't know. Fawn is the one I'm least familiar with, but like all of these like physiologically clear stress in our bodies. Fawn might be the human, like, or the mammal one. But, the end result is like when humans hug each other, they clear stress from their bodies, and lizards can't do that. So that encourages us to do social behavior to clear our stress. And, again, being part of these large groups doing synchronized activities does that. So there just is value in connecting to like large groups of people. I just listened to this Radio Lab that was talking about self-esteem and how self-esteem is like thinking about stuff you like about yourself and investing your personal worth in those things. And it can be healthy until evidence provides you, or until evidence suggests that talent that you have isn't quite there. It's like if your self-esteem comes from you doing a good job, then that means if you do a bad job, that means you're a bad person. So self-esteem is great when things are going well, but when it's going bad, it's kind of a weapon that damages your psyche. And like what they was talking about is just connecting to things outside of yourself that are larger than yourself and focusing on those and those needs instead of focusing on perceiving yourself is like a better way to clear stress and feel better about your life. And that's also just something that used to happen more in a lot of ways, just like because you would just have to build a church for 50 years before the church existed. People would just be hauling stones. They made pyramids. Like everyone was constantly part of so many things that they could invest with all this importance, not just like I work for a job to get a money, like, and it added like this kind of spiritual mental balm to our minds and stuff. And that doesn't exist anymore. But being part of mutual aid, talking to people in your community, trying to join groups and stuff, all of this stuff, it activates, okay, what can I do? How can I help? You're just thinking not about if you're a good or bad person. And it turns out thinking a lot about if you're a good or bad person doesn't actually make you a good person. So, I think it's really, really good to try and connect to this stuff. It's tough. I don't know, but online there's getting all these, there's all sorts of different directions you can go. That's what's so hard about it. It's hard to instruct people when there's so many different situations and ways it can go. And there's so many different places and communities and they're all very different. But, I've been looking at ice alerts. There's ice alert maps on websites that pin them on the map. There's all these Instagram accounts that post alerts. Apparently there's signal groups and Nextdoor, does stuff like that. But I've just been watching all sorts of stuff in the mornings. I've just been driving around seeing if I can find like ice or something. I don't know what I'm going to do if I found them. But just trying to help, or I don't know, just trying to see what's up. And yeah, I want to try and connect more to some of these. They're called rapid response networks. They try and get people out in the streets patrolling and stuff, because like one of the best things you can do is if ICE is in an area to just get a bunch of volunteers to go out into that area announcing that ICE is fucking going around, because then they will. And once ICE is going around, they'll stop you from doing that. And they'll cock block you, or they might arrest you. But you have to go before they get there and get everyone out of there, because by the time ICE is there, it's too late, and you can't really stop them from doing their jobs. I mean, if you had a large enough group, I suppose you could. But functionally, in these circumstances, it tends not to be possible to have 3 people against 7 or 8, ICE agents, and actually stop them from disappearing a person. But so I don't know. That's where my mind's been at. I went to Highland Park that was doing a Minneapolis solidarity action, and it was good. I don't know. I don't know. It's interesting because it's not. It's more like a lib rally or something where they're not actually fighting against anybody, and so it's maybe a bit more solidarity and joyful in a way that, it doesn't feel the same as when, like, there's police brutality happening and it's more angry. And that felt kind of weird, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, but we gotta be a group and show our strength and show that we're here to outside and to each other, because we're showing that to each other, and that'll make them more confident about what the group is capable of and their place in the group and being involved in the group and seeing that they can take action. And yeah, I don't know. Like I was telling people that it's important to, call your senators and stuff. And people rightly point out that it's not going to matter. It doesn't fucking matter because they're all feckless pieces of shit. And that's true. But the thing is, when you take action like this, you're not doing it to prove or to show them that they have to act. And honestly, can we be real for a second? It's really arrogant to assume, oh, I called my senator, so now he should do what I want. That's very arrogant. That's a very arrogant assumption to make, because you are one person. And obviously I agree that it's not just you. It's thousands of people, and they shouldn't ignore thousands of people, and they do ignore thousands of people. But it still fundamentally comes down to the same, like, I should be listened to. And it's like, I mean, I guess, but I don't know. But it's not about that. It's about getting acquainted with taking action when you feel compelled, as opposed to squashing down that feeling and it growing into something more toxic and harmful to your life and your spirit and your soul. It's about training yourself to be comfortable taking action and connecting to your community and seeing if there's needs that you can fill and things that you can do and people you can serve, and getting more comfortable with doing that. It's exercise, because people are habit-driven people, and you get better. You get better at things that you do. If you do something, you'll get better at it. If you don't do something, you'll get better at not doing something. If you come up with a reason why you can't do something, you'll get better at coming up with reasons why you can't do things. And so instead of, all the very good reasons not to do something that you can come up with, if you instead make the choice to do something, it trains you. It's better. It's better that way. And I think that gets into fucking like AA shit, like the opposite, like the idea of opposite action. I think a lot of what AA revolves around is aversion. I think addiction is very tied up in aversion, because the more comfortable you are indulging the addiction, the more you can use indulging in that addiction to avoid other things that are uncomfortable to you. And avoiding everything that's uncomfortable to you ruins your life. And so having this button that you can press instead of doing something that's important for your life ends up making a pattern of aversion and a pattern of escaping into drugs and stuff. And I think thinking about how your choices and thoughts and patterns are related to the concept of aversion is really important, because you don't want to strengthen your aversion patterns. You want to strengthen your not aversion patterns. That's what opposite action is about. It's like, I feel weird about telling this person my feelings were hurt, so I'm going to tell them my feelings were hurt. So I feel less weird about that because it's a healthy thing to be able to express your feelings. So you don't want to indulge the aversion of that. You want to strengthen the muscle of doing that. And I think it's all related. I think optimism is really important for building political power. Optimism is a strong indicator of who's going to win elections. I truly think that there is some hacking that can be done if you just tell yourself to be optimistic. I do think that has a positive effect on everything, even though that's very hard to do. I do think fascism relies on crushing people's spirits and killing their joy. And I think you got to recover that. I think you need dopamine to have executive function. You need joy to have dopamine. I don't know. This is all getting pseudoscientific, but I think it's just really important that we be doing stuff because shit is so fucking crazy, and it's going to get crazier, presumably. I mean, who knows? Maybe everything's going to be fine tomorrow. I doubt it, but I don't know. But all of this to say, it doesn't matter if you're blocking a road and pointing at a different way a car can go so the cars don't end up on a road that's like full of people that are protesting. It's good to do that. It's good to just stay on the periphery, not even shouting the slogans that everyone's shouting. Just being there. It's good to do that because you're doing it, and you're connecting to something that's bigger than you, and that creates mental health. It's good. It's good to do that. It's not aversive to do that. That's my speech. I don't know. It's very crazy. I don't like it. I think it's bad. I think getting murdered is bad. It's just there's just been a lot of tragedy. There's this one guy got kidnapped, and he was saying like, I take care of my disabled adult son, like a 30-something-year-old son who's like wheelchair bound, can't feed himself or whatever. It's like, if you take me, he's going to die. They took him and his son died. And it's just like, I mean, there's tragedies like this happening fucking everywhere. There's the 5-year-old they kidnapped. There was like a 2-year-old they kidnapped using children as bait. That they're deleting footage that's in these camps. Like, it's crazy, man. Like, I don't know. We really just got to we got to get a bunch of people to just storm the fucking camps and just like literally tear down the fences. But, they would certainly pull some Iranian shit if we did that. But I don't know, man. It's like what's going on in those camps is it's going to be in history books if we ever even find out the truth, you know. But I don't know. I do think the battle lines have been drawn, and I think that's good. I think, a lot of people are centering around don't take APAC money, centering around, abolish ICE. I think it's tough because I'm still a very pragmatic person. And I think, there's times to fight those battles. And then when you lose this or that battle, I think it's better to fall in line. But you don't fall in line until you absolutely have to, and I think we can do a lot in the primaries. And I think if we do, we can send strong signals and maybe shake the Democratic Party out of this. But the thing is, we don't even have to shake them out of it. We just have to fucking do a Tea Party. We just have to beat them. We have to take them out of power and replace them. And then we'll be the Democrats. And I don't know. One of the rallies I was at was by the Party for Socialism and Liberation. And I think locally it's fine to be other parties. But then when it's time to scale up, it's like, are they going to join Democrats or are they not? Because I think if they don't join Democrats, they're just going to lose. And if my whole plan is I'm going to win and then lose, I don't know that I like that plan. I would rather win and then win. But hey, it's a big tent. It takes all kinds of ideas. We're all on the same side. It's a lot of talking, Kevin. You have any thoughts?
I mean, I don't mean to sound defeatist here, but this has just been the most exhausting year imaginable.
Yeah.
I I see things that are going on, and it affects me really deeply. And the problem that I don't mean to make this about me. I'm just trying to maybe share something to make this relatable.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
Spencer found his Zoom again. I I go through these highs and lows of like highs of like I'm gonna fight this, I'm gonna do whatever I can. This is not happening while I have an ounce of strength left in me. And then at some point, I just sort of come crashing down into not this defeatist feeling, but just like almost just like outrage, exhaustion of like it feels like every day we hit a new low,
Hmm.
and there's no escaping this. There's no like, I feel like I feel things very emotionally sometimes, and I need an escape from that so that I'm not obsessed over this 24/7. I should be, but like I know for my own mental health, I shouldn't be. And it's harder and harder to find things that are not bringing you right back into this, because it's hard finding parts of the world that are not, you know, rightfully outraged about this and wanting to change it. But at the same time, it's like I'll be at a point where like, I need to think about something different right now, or I'm going to lose my mind. So like, I'll go on YouTube and go find some YouTuber that's made me laugh in the past, and their last three videos are talking about ice and things like that, which is fantastic, and they should do that. But it's like there's nowhere to go that's not reminding of everything, and I think that's important, but it's also exhausting. And I think everybody needs to keep a balance of like, when you're at your high, do everything you possibly can. And when you start to feel that kind of like outrage burnout that I think we all hit at some point, don't let that discourage you. Don't walk away in disgust. Stay active, stay doing things. Don't just do it in moderation when it's overwhelming to you. Because I think a lot of us are reaching that point of just like, especially everybody who is like, this is exactly what I said was going to happen is now happening. That's a tough one, It's like
Yeah.
to have seen the future and it come true and you weren't able to stop it is crushing. And
It is crushing. I mean, everybody grew up being like, if the Nazis took over, I wouldn't have let it happen, but the Nazis are taking over and this is how we're dealing with it. What are we doing? You know? I think it's very revealing. I don't know. This morning there was a call for volunteers to go in Cypress Park and volunteer at a Home Depot. And, you know, and they were taking pictures and this person got taken, this person got taken. I'm looking at this stuff and it's like, well, what the fuck is the point? Why are you calling people over only to take pictures of people getting taken? Like, aren't you trying to stop this from happening? And, it's like an outrage and it hurts. And I'm thinking about it and it's like, what am I imagining is going to happen? Like a truck full of like armed people are going to come in and shut down the ice, like there's just not a lot of good options. It's asymmetrical warfare. It's a siege. It's not a sprint. There's not always something that we can be doing, and there's not always something that's like the perfect thing to be doing in the moment, and that feels bad. But what that means is sometimes you got to rest and recuperate. Sometimes you gotta replenish your joy. Sometimes you got to do a little bit, just do something here or there. But sometimes you just got to reach out to the community. It's a thing. It's like this is such a big problem. Like there's literally infinite things that have to be done. There are like because imagine we get Trump out, still got to abolish ICE, still got to fucking take over the Democrat Party. Like infinite things to be done. There's still people that need tenants' rights groups, still people that need eviction protection, still people that need groceries and food support. Still homeless people that need care kits, hygiene kits, haircuts. Still animals that need to be rescued, spayed, neutered. There are infinite things that need to be done. And if there's infinite things that need to be done, you simply have to do anything. Anything is good. It doesn't matter what. And so any small thing that you can feel good about can help. Assuming it's helping. But there's a lot of things that can be helped on a lot of different levels. And we can't always help. But there is a lot of things that we can connect to, and it does feel better because in my life, in the lives of everyone I talk to, they always feel the worst when they feel helpless about something. When there's a situation that makes them feel helpless is the absolute worst you can feel. And again, opposite action, doing anything helps you not feel helpless. And so just the smallest action, I don't know, volunteering at a soup kitchen, whatever. Not even volunteering at a soup kitchen, like going to a city council meeting and just sitting there and watching the city council meeting. Anything, like literally anything. Again, because you're training yourself. If you go to city council meeting, you'll learn something about fucking Robert's Rules of Order or whatever the fuck. It's like it really like humans are amazing learning machines. We're even better than ChatGPT at it. Like learning is something that's helping. So like there's so many ways. That's almost what's so tough about it is it's like, where do you start when there's infinite things to be done? And it's just, well, you start by not getting overwhelmed by the concept, and then you pick a thing. But yeah, like you're saying, it's not always the right thing to immerse yourself in stuff, especially when that makes you feel helpless. But the solution really is doing anything. Maybe it's
right.
just
Don't give up.
Yeah.
Like
just
even
bake
even
cookies and bake cookies. Knock on your neighbor's door. Give them cookies. Leave.
Yeah. You can make the world a better place in other ways if you can't affect this situation. Like don't get hyper focused on things you can't do. There's so much suffering in this world that could be made better, and everybody has a way of improving somebody else's life. So
Yeah.
even if you're not in the US or you're in a tiny little city where ICE isn't bothering you and there's nothing tangible you feel like you can do, help somebody. Just do something good and you will feel better.
And that's kind of like your philosophy, Kevin, is like, how can I add value? How can I be helpful to people? This is something I remember you talking about, in the past. And it's like, it really can be that simple. Because the thing is, we want a better world, and there's a lot of ways to make a better world. I was just at one of the protests. I had my sign said "fuck ICE," and this old lady, she must have been at least 75. She was like, "Oh, do you want to have this sign?" And the sign said like "Stop Trump" or "Get Trump out of office" or something. And I was like, I'm okay. I mean, someone else might like that sign, but I got mine. I'm good. And she was like, "No, but don't you understand? If you don't like ICE, if you want ICE to go, we need to get Donald Trump out of power." And I'm like, I'm not going to like argue with this lady because I'm thinking, yeah, but the Democrats do it too. Like it's not going to be over, it's going to be less visible, but it's not going to be over. There's a lot of things that have to happen. And Trump is one of the things. But like what I said is I just told her the same thing. I was like, there's so much that we got to do. I'm so thankful that you are focused on the thing of getting Trump out of office. I'm so grateful that that's something you're doing. What I'm doing is protesting ICE, and that's good too, and we need everyone doing that. And that guy, he has this sign that's about this thing, and that's good too. And we need him too. And that person is screaming, chanting slogans and stuff, and we need that too. And someone else is just reading a speech that they wrote, and we need that too. Like we need all of these things. And that actually is a little bit liberating. It's not like, oh, we're not doing the right thing. It's like, I mean, we're never going to do the right thing. We all got to do something, well, whatever. I don't know. That's the show, right?
I think it is. I don't think I can add to that in any meaningful way.
Well, you already have. We love Kevin. We love everybody except Nazis. We hate Nazis. Thanks for tuning in. Oh shit, Kevin.
Spencer.
The Pope is in danger. I did another Zoom. That's a joke we did before the episode, and I didn't punch it up at all. We like to end the show the same way we do every week. So let's bring out the spleen. Hey, oh, what's the plan? Well, what are you talking about? We end the show the same way every week. Kevin, help me out. What are we doing?
We're in the show, man. Just say your catchphrase. Come on.
Spleedy doo.